good. I think we had a lively discussion this morning. I'm looking forward to hearing what young social workers are thinking. So once again, I'm not going to give any long introductions. I'm going to turn this over to Avah Toomer, who is a moderator. She's a recent grad from Carleton University. I don't have my program in front of me, but she's a policy advocacy manager for Lyft, okay? And Khadija Williams is here from Lyft. So we're going to talk about why young social workers and young people will not boycott. So I'm right now going to turn it over to Avah.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Yes, so I'm excited to have you here today. This whole conference is looking at employees without children. And so what I would first do is just introduce and invite up the panelists that we have today. So first, we have Cristino Chavez, Jr. He's a licensed master social worker and a certified trauma professional. First generation Salvadorian American from New York. He is a PhD candidate at Yeshiva University of Next, I have Jasmine Dearman. She's an advanced standing master social work candidate at one university school of social work, leadership, management, and entrepreneurship. She's passionate for positive change and social advocacy, and is a fellow organizer to advocate with me, as well as a community focused program. And thank you for being here. Next, I'm going to introduce Rachel Boyer. Rachel Boyer is a fellow Howard University School of Social Work graduate, a licensed master's social worker, and she currently works as a federal policy associate at the Children's Defense Fund. Next, I'll introduce Purohit. He's pursuing a master's social work at Columbia University, Jasmine, in leadership management entrepreneurship for social justice. He has an extensive background in disability justice and community organizing. And last but not least, another fellow Howard University social graduate, Carleton Bailiff III. He's currently a arts educator and education advocate at public charter schools. Prior to education advocacy, he was a legislative aide for Representative James. We only have 2 microphones today. And I will leave time to answer questions. I'm going to write them down. So, the theme of this speech today is power storytelling. And so with that in mind, we'll also understand a little bit better. I want to hear more about your personal stories and what motivates you out of all the things that you've done to connect yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. Like I said, my name is Carleton. I enjoyed learning about social work and mainly because my mother and Floyd brought me to this school. maybe psychology, Citadel, and then so power the platform, and how to put it in out of it, and a young development of people. I thought that's the best way to do that was to come to work. But after the mother was I realized that even if he was my son, I probably would not have prevented what happened to me. I probably would not have prevented this murder. So I recognized that a little bit of whatever happened in the social that we're able to look in that space, I was able to fix the problems that are around in the macro space, not just one-on-one clinical work. So that's what brought me to social work and macro work specifically because I saw that there was an opportunity for me to have a broader impact on the social work. Thank you. But I would come up to do this work and it's one more for I have a experience. I also studied psychology and food habits and then and
Yeah, someone feedback. I don't like it.
Can't coach him.
Hello, hi. So I'm Lisa Boyer. I am originally from a small country in Alaska, and I have lived many places. But every time I moved for a job, and I moved because traveling is lovely and I love to travel, but living in different communities, you get to know people in just a completely different way. My career before social work, I was a strategic communications person, so I did comms for members of Congress, for senators, for state parties, and right before so I was doing communications, specifically for and through all of those experiences, doing communications, it's great to be able to build on yourself and say, oh, hey, this is how this entity feels about this thing. But the thing that really would tip the scale was always an individual or a community's soul about why something needed to change, or about why we're investing in something. And while I was at the Sierra Club, I enjoyed many aspects of my job. One of the things that I was not so in love with was how transactional communications felt working with the community, because it really felt like the between folks and our policy folks really got to do the relationship building with the community, and then they're like, oh, this person has a great story, we should put them to the San Francisco Park. Which is great because I got that little interaction, but I was like, oh, I need to know these people because they have such an energy that infuses the work and it makes you kind of remember why you're doing the work. So during the pandemic, I had a really, think of a wall full of print offs and screen connections, other things, kind of vibe in my head and trying to figure out what I was going to do once I left communications. All the line to social Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine Dearman, Toomer programs.
Yes.
And I actually got my start in social work in undergrad, so I have my bachelor's in social work and then my master's. But originally I felt called to social work because of the experiences I had. I grew up in a small rural town with not a lot of resources and a lot of active addiction going on. And so I just really wanted to figure out how to help myself, but also how to help the people that I really care about in my community. So I went to get a social work degree and started working in community service schools for a while, and then I had to food support.
Yes, hi. May I speak with
It
Angela?
was such a wonderful experience, and I missed that work so
Thank
much. But while I was there, as a social worker, I started realizing how much red tape and boundaries and things that were kind of keeping me from being able to make the change that really needed to happen for the people that I cared about. And it was also 2020 at the time when I first started my first job. I was 21 years old, and I was working in because of the election. Very upset about the really
Hi,
good
hi,
job
Angela. This is
me
Vincent Lewis
and
calling. I was in the last couple of days trying to
I
get a bag
decided
that got
that
stuck
we
in
would
Charlotte.
actually talk about this.
They put a rush tag on it. I was wondering if it's arrived.
Learning how to learn about the
2001 12. Okay.
Through that organizing, I just realized how many barriers are there for people who experience mental health development disabilities and addiction. To actually help themselves
2001
and
129
and so
230.
that kind of catalyzed me to switch
129
mental health and go into area
203.
Uplift communities build capacity and create pathways for self-determination for the people that really inspired me and got me
It's a
to
black Pelican case with like lime green latches. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome everybody to here. Now, I think it was interesting to me because it was a career that really comes back. I got to have a bachelor's in biology psychology and to a student and I'm living in the city and got my master's at university. What got me into natural I first going into natural and one thing that really and going through that experience kind of sparked a like wow, how the system states is designed and it is designed something that new people really
Awesome. Thank you. I'll probably be there somewhere around 3 or 4 o'clock. And so, will it be in the office or will it be outside with the other? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Bye.
realizing that I have to really exchange and policies and communities that really is not people always so for me, only involved in And my scene itself, it's up to me. Of course, the first thing I've gone through on the other end of involved, seeing how this seeing how wow, we are with project something, but there's so much pain. And unfortunately, social workers are not and so much of what I do now, I would not want to do.
Thank you.
Well, we probably can.
Yep.
I also am in that position. I had a small class, but in that class itself, really giving students an opportunity to just because of the does not mean that you are anything. Really, I wouldn't say it's necessary, but vital that we take part in understanding how to map it. It's a very big goal as looking forward in this way.
Thank you all for your thoughtful responses. Something that I heard all of you mention was the importance of your own personal journey or the things that are close to you. And I'm wondering, in your practice now, in the past, how has storytelling come up with the tool that you're employing? And something that Rachel mentioned with communication specifically with transaction nature that, social workers have an ethical responsibility for trying to community. So I'm wondering what storytelling is employed in your practice. How do you think within that ethical lens? Really important. I know what you just said about giving people fun and easier, but also letting them tell their own story. One of the things that I was a stickler about and really a stickler about is when someone shares their story or agrees to share their story, it's theirs. We are not going to introduce it without getting their consent. We are not going to use it in room without consent. We are not, like, it's not our story. It's not our story. Similar to how, like, sometimes we're, like, sometimes you're going to say, like, oh, did you do something? But you're never going to, if someone tells you something specifically, but you're not going to then go, oh, this so-and-so said this happened to them, let me tell you exactly what they did, without them saying, I feel something, or I think other people need something, because that will help them to make a better decision in the same situation, or they need to know what they're up against when they're about to go do this. But it's so, what I didn't love about this is that it's so hard to maintain that. Yes, this story was super helpful in a letter to the editor. I would rather you shared your story at a city council meeting. But if you don't want to go to a city council meeting, I am not going to go to the meeting to share having conversations. So continuing to keep that in my mind now as I'm talking, making sure that the folks that I work with still have that agency to own their story, tell their own story, and then be also be able to do it and that's what I'm story and talk about really protecting their workplace information
So I believe that storytelling is very, very important. And I forgot to mention that I'm not a political person, but I'm rather a legislative person. Sometimes I think in politics and the election process and that. But the legislative work is what really makes the difference. It makes the land rights and impact. So having been a congressional staffer and having witnessed a few congressional committee hearings I have heard and seen how stories it's vital, very important. You wouldn't get the same context for a certain legislative priority if you haven't heard these people's stories. Likewise, in legislative work, the stories of constituents in South Carolina's 6th congressional district really helped me come up with some ideas, and even my own personal stories and the stories of my family helped me in that same vein as well. For instance, I remember I had a really great legislative idea. It got shot down, it didn't go anywhere. But it was to effectively reverse the affirmative action ban at senior military colleges and military junior colleges. The high-ranking military officers of the Department of Defense wrote an amicus curiae brief to the Supreme Court after they reviewed the decision. And they were warning the Supreme Court about how, taking affirmative action away from our military colleges and services levels, senior military colleges like the Citadel, could create a patriotic officer corps in our armed forces, and that may not be the best thing for us. Because we'll have even listed for who are generally lower ranking turning against their officers. And they would be insubordinate to the commands from the officer corps. And I didn't realize how important that was until I read that. Because my father is a lieutenant colonel, or excuse me, was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. I didn't recognize how big that was until I myself went to the military college. So, knowing that, I decided to pull some things together and try to create a legislative idea that would hopefully get in my favor. It didn't go anywhere, obviously. But we need more ideas like this. We need more ideas that will change the landscape of power in the nation. And your personal story can help with that. Your personal story to drive into these legislative ideas.
I like that idea. I think one thing I'm very thankful for this thing is that you might come up with some remarks, but what really makes it hard is like I said before, after we go through the system, you can drive cars, now. But my story is just different. If anything, my story is limited to our room and our especially I know you were from Southeast state level or when you are under the
not the number that counts, the story. It's really from the very ultimately, it's this idea of the story of those that go through this, but I think the one realizing that how hard this is, like, how hard it is to consistent communities that the media can step outside the person who has I couldn't really like that. It is not, it is also not surprising, unfortunately, for me to witness the also really that may sound great on the larger scale of on time concept of time people. And so that right there is just you don't have to just say that a lot of people really say that just as much as you mentioned time there's that need that we're gonna have to and so storytelling like that and working with working with folks in the community is something that I found to be wise and work and why and also just
I'm just gonna mirror, I think, what Melissa said. I think that storytelling is a through line for social work. Whether you're on Martha, whether you're on Panelist, it is almost the centerpiece of our role because we are about interpersonal communication. We are soft skills and embodying that care and compassion for each other. And storytelling is the tool by which we do that. At a micro level, social workers are working with people to help them empower, like re-story tell their lives, like recreate their lives in a way that makes them feel empowered and allows them to own their truth and speak it so that they can get what they need, so that they can seek out that self-determination. And then on a meso level, we are trying to create a larger message that all of us share commonalities in, so that we can tell the story of our communities and of our friends and family. And then on a macro level, again, communicating that to the global community and explaining to them where you're coming from and what these things mean to us, whatever policy or issue that at stake is there. We are trying to communicate with each other so we can find common ground. And so ultimately, storytelling is social. And we are lucky to be in a position to hear stories, to then look at those stories, and then hopefully to also create platforms so we can tell their answers, so we don't have to be their mouthpiece. Yeah, I think that storytelling is social, and on the even on the micro level, it's so important to consider the impact of the way that we're working with things, whether it's other avenues. How are we listening, and how are we helping them reframe the things that they're experiencing, so that we have the right at that policy brief inside of the Supreme Court? How are we becoming tools for their empowerment as opposed to being
You can also what you all were saying, I think it fits well with what we're moving into next, particularly just to Jackie's last point that you're describing at the end there, how we use storytelling in a clinical setting to help community, right? I'm thinking, from the macro perspective. also bringing in the political component. There's something called narrative change at the political level. And I'm going to use social justice initiatives, social change initiatives definition. But basically, it's saying that stories you tell can be extremely powerful, heroes can change public opinion and influencing policy. The framing of what right way can communicate with your audience or community thinking, so difficult conversations in positive way and create more resilient and inclusive societies. I think that is a positive with our narrative change. And I think narrative and politics would be determined in political discourse out loud. I'm wondering if any of you have an opinion on how successful social perception in shaping and including that we have access to so many stories, so many opportunities to uplift like voices in our communities. Do you feel like we've been successful in doing that in a way that shifts political?
I would say, from my experience, that I'm glad to say that we're jumping into that. But we still have a long way to go. I find that we have a very long way to go. One thing in social work that I'm seeing that is very is that there so we understand that we do like to talk about professional perspective and also like the type and different levels of but one thing that I still see today is, and this is something that I see a lot, is understand that they all are part. It's not, I want to be, I just want to focus on policy. Or I just want to focus on policy research because that's just too much work. You may have some clients work together and they may all come from the community that is now, but the library, of course, not just free, but also a hub for many workers that find that that is essential for comfort, safety, engagement. Unfortunately, you can experience, like I said, story after story after story after story. But then, like I said, you could perhaps help them. You can help them, support them. But what is, when you start to realize this ongoing pattern of things, then the question can come out, what's happening is next? What's happening, like, I could communicate to the end of the or I didn't communicate. What's happening is not. What is going on a higher level? And what is it happening? Social work is kind of pushing something to the involved. What I come to notice is that oftentimes I'm angry with them, so they're cleaning the room. I may be surrounded by folks with degrees in public administration or degrees in the third doctor or attorney. But where are the social workers? Where are we? We continuously find ways to focus on state, but we are just more than that. We're more than just therapy. We are more than, and I got to say a lot. We are more than just that therapy, that help, those progress. We are institutions. We are testimonies in front of a city we are active members in other communities, like community boards. In New York City, we recently had a process that a budget from city council specifically to the community to work on issues of projects that students what I was doing a talk the drums what I think you realize is that, like I said, I was in New York for there. Folks are they make you social workers wow, you guys actually do work. And so I find that we have a long way to go, but because of all of the things going on, and one thing is we are the participants of people
So I really appreciate what you just said, and I think that there's so much to that. Well, I was impacted in this question. It would not be true to say that we've never had any impact on this entire stories and that we're not seeing change because of it. But to your point, right, there's still such a long way to go, and there are these gaps between our micro and macro level practitioners where we're not communicating. Once we do social work school, we don't see each other. Where are we? And our micro workers, you know, this month is social work month, and the group is empowering social workers, and we're kind of trying to get a higher level of pay, right, and better benefits, and better, more respect for the work that we actually do on this micro level. And so we're social workers, but we're also just people, right? And so we get burnt out, especially I think our micro level practitioners. And so it becomes a challenge to do the work. And so then the bigger question is, how do we create community with each other so that we can support each other, so that we can, you know, negotiate for higher pay, so that we can get the things that we need to be the activists and the advocates that we all need to be. And then on the, you know, micro and meso and macro level, are we really telling the stories in the right way? And are the social work, you know, many of the social workers I know who go from micro into these other two sections don't really identify as social workers anymore, right? They become communication strategists, they become executive directors. And we can be those things, and we can still completely take advantage of the identity of our social workers and to lean into that as a tool for telling the story and actually creating change. But we're finding that we can't call ourselves social workers and get paid the big money in those positions. So I think one really big hurdle that we're facing in order to be able to truly leverage our power is being able to take care of ourselves and having the respect in our own community as well as in the world at large for the work that we're actually doing. And so we have to learn how to tell our own stories as well. How do we tell the impact of social work? How do we express that to people so that they understand the value and the true importance of this? Because there's value placed and there's that place on the work that we do. And then from there, we will have more capacity. We have the bigger community to be able to tell the right stories, to tell more stories, to build wider, bigger platforms so that we see real transformation. Which is, I think, what none of us really want to see.
So, to answer this question, I think we have been making more of an impact. We have been sharing our stories at higher levels, and that's great. But we, of course, we need more. I remember when I was in social work school, we watched a documentary about Washington, D.C. I believe it was called Shrink It. I think we were in that thing. Democracy. And we watched it, everybody got mad, we were up in arms. Our professor, I think it was Professor Boyle. Professor Boyle asked us to share our thoughts, and we were all up in arms. Man, we need to fix this, we need to fix that, this, that, and the third, X, Y, and Z. And, you know, I wanted to contribute to the conversation. I was all the way in the back. And I said something to the extent of, we need to run for office more. We should run for office at the local level, the state level, and the federal level, And because we have this unique social work perspective, we should be in the arenas. We should have a seat at the table. And after I said that, I believe within the next two responses, one of my classmates said, well, we can all do our part by just being in different areas. And that, I mean, there are some people that can be artists, but social workers, we have to have people in the clinical arena. We have to have people elsewhere. Some of us will go on the law school. And I was sitting in the back and I don't think they heard me. Because these are the arenas where our voices can be heard and legislative action can be taken. So when we share our stories with these lawmakers, we can impact the legislative process. We can put our ideas into the hopper, so to speak. But if we dilute our power in different places, then our power is felt as it should be. And I understand we do have to have people in the clinical, we have to have people maybe in education, because I'm working in education right now and exploring that field. But at the same time, I can still advocate for certain legislative ideas that I would like to advocate for. I can still assist with a voting drive. I can still do many things, even though I'm a social worker. I earned a social work degree and I'm not working in education. So we need to have a seat at the table. That's imperative. If we don't have a seat at the table, we're just getting distracted.
I just want to comment, because I love what you said, and it's so important that we're in places where we can speak truth to power. And I think so many of us kind of shy away from stepping into a power position, into a place where we have control and we actually have leverage to use our voice and to use our knowledge and understanding. And so it's so important.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I took my entry exam and I'm studying for that. I went over our code of ethics, our code standards, and my code listening to it. And it's in our code of ethics that we need to be involved at this level, in this conversation. And what I want to say though, because the first time we read the code of ethics, I want to say it was maybe the first day of class. And I remember reading that being like because one of the things we hear, and for me, it's all the news that I see, especially in social work. That makes sense. So and one of the things I want to say is to be involved, you don't have to go to every meeting. You don't have to go to city council meetings. They run long meetings. And a lot of times it's like, I'm here for this one thing, and it's not happening until like you look at the agenda and it's not happening. And it's like, I can do this because it's a 2-hour commitment. City council meetings, depending on where you live, we will learn the frequency of them. And when something is super important and something impacts a client of yours, and you're like, I'm gonna go listen to what they're actually saying, not what the news is reporting the next day. not what they're saying on their social media. It is actually happening in the room, on the go, and we see by this. And then you can determine, okay, now that I've seen this, now that I've seen, other people share their testimony, now that I've seen kind of the questions that people are asking of their city councilors, I know now the next time I can put this on my calendar. And again, it doesn't have to be the next week. It can be in a month. It can be next quarter. As long as you are going and just keep track, right? Like add it to, I don't know if any of us are still on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. But like, if you are still on that, follow your city council. If you're not on that, if you're on Twitter or something else, do that. Sign up for their newsletters to make sure that you are just aware of what's happening. And again, you don't have to be every email. Don't have to read everything. Do not read everything. But you don't have to be on top of everything all the time. But you should just have an idea of what's happening. So when you are ready to jump in, you know kind of where the conversation is, and you know you can pinpoint and be like, bet I'm gonna come in and talk about it. And then your voice, using that kind of using your voice as a precise tool to expand on the conversation is so powerful in those rooms because like city councilors are also I know I keep saying it, but they're just fucking weird. So when you go, not only do you have kind of fresh energy and you're like, oh, we've never seen you before, and then you say, yeah, you're my representative. You live down the street from me. I see you walking your dog. Whatever it is, whatever your engagement is, as long as you go and just start kind of paying attention. If like local isn't your thing right off the bat, if you want to start at the federal level, all of those um, meetings are, you can look at all of them online, and you can watch them live too. So if you find yourself like, okay, I'm going to do progress notes during this time, but I need to background notes, you can listen to, a community meeting at any point. You can listen to them live because they're usually at like 10 a.m. on Thursday. So if you are working 9 to 5, you are working at that point. But if you have the space, you can also listen to them afterwards. But just, you don't have to do it all the time, but you also don't have to do, and you can engage at the level that you want on the issues that you want and be able to keep your experience and your experience. Right, here's where I fit, right here's where I fit.
I think there are a lot of things in public spaces to amplification for instance visibility of public spaces. Something that you need to think of is how you use social media to your business to increase visibility, increase its access that people have to information in general, to benefit others. And usually I think in terms of storytelling, I think social media, TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, to be like those platforms have been really powerful in amplifying this organized communities and driving political narrative. I know the House just voted this morning to ban TikTok if they do not change some organizational structure. But I'm wondering how you utilize, if you utilize social media in this way, to amplify voices, to advocate. And if not, how do you believe you should be utilizing it?
Thank you. One quick question. I don't personally use social media. we now live in a world where people can directly document every day put it out. So you hire the artist I think that it's a wonderful advocacy, a wonderful organization. I also feel that there are some things that can be we're not really more information than you could before. I personally sometimes find myself talking a lot of myself listening to as a frequent like really lecturing people, introducing people online for the same hey, this person's doing something that works. I thought it could be interesting. Here's a resource. The advocate, incredible.
I have a love relationship with social media. And one of the things that I do like, so I love Instagram. My Instagram is private. But what I love about it is on Instagram. So tiny bit of my personal story. I'm a transitional adopted person, and part of that meant growing up in a small town in Alaska. I was a little isolated. And social media is one of the things that kind of opened up the world to me, realizing that some of the things I was experiencing were not just happening to me and my friends. And I mean, a lot of this happened after I had moved to Alaska. But what I enjoy now is I will find or have found many folks who are really at sharing their personal story, but also their job is in that field, right? So it's in the adoption space. And so they are sharing resources, they're sharing other people's stories, they are talking or like sharing opportunities to share your story. And in doing that, I have been able to, find a meeting or find other people who are like, remember in elementary school when you did the family tree project? What's traumatic? Like, oh yeah, I do remember that. And so just like that kind of connection has been really helpful. But in terms of advocacy, I think that especially I just got on TikTok. I really told you and now that I'm here, Wild West a little bit. What I like about TikTok is what you said about the power you know, breaking down a little bit and the transfer of information just being kind of, I'm not going to call it unilateral because there's definitely still a power on TikTok, but it has definitely, it's not so high low. And what I appreciate is that the way that TikTok is set up is if someone makes a video about something, there's a search that you just click on the bottom. It's like, what are they talking about? Like, where someone just makes a video that's, just vibes or just them looking around. And it's like, okay, and then you can click and you're like, oh, I had no idea this is happening. And for me, because I'm working times, I'm like, I'm going to see what like the EP is reported on this or something. Like, anyone was talking about this off of TikTok. But and I know that's not like the next step that a lot of TikTok users are doing, but I know that there's more folks who are in the comments that like just Google it and they'll find more information. And I really appreciate that about social media. It levels that you're in access to information. Not all of it is good, but it does make folks kind of think, oh, my favorite person who usually does answers is talking about what's happening in the life. I should maybe Google what's going on to see if I have thoughts or if I just kind of want to go but it just kind of makes me feel a little bit like maybe I should try something. I think you've done some good points. Social media is such a tool for accessing information. In so many ways, created ways for people to continue their education even if they can't afford to do that later on after school, or, even if it's just for funsies and they want to learn more about a topic. I think too that the social media poses a lot of risks and arguably threats in ways to the way we access information. And one of those important ways is that the tech companies that own the social media sites, they harvest our data. And so while we are using this as a tool to connect with each other, the community will also see further advancements. And that's a story that's not getting told. We also have algorithms that bias our opinions, that so that certain stories aren't being told to certain people. And so it is a tool for storytelling. Absolutely, it's a wonderful tool. And we still have to be hyper vigilant about the way that it operates and the way that we utilize it. How do we make sure that it's reaching the widest audience? How do we, as social workers and as advocates, try to help create regulations and policies that protect people while they're sharing very intimate stories online? And I think there's also, to your point of this influx of information that's like overwhelming. We're also seeing kind of people's vulnerable stories and their intimate truths being used right? As a tool to benefit someone who's exploring that story. And so I don't mean to be a negative Nancy here at all, but I do think social media is such an incredible tool for us. It has empowered so many young people to get involved. And I think that's the best thing about social media, is how many young people know what's going on in politics. And now we're seeing a push for youth to be able to be involved in elections and to see this diversity and this growth happening. But we have to still be vigilant. We still have to know what we're giving up in order to do that. And then create protections for ourselves, right? Because we have the power. We do. We have the power. But we can't talk about all of the wonderful things without remembering what we've given up so far.
Everything that was positive. I think it's social media is really powerful too. Anything that we're doing is pattern just a generation people from getting information from the newspaper that got brought back to the stuff. Now she simply just picking up the phone up and picking up we are seeing the how our information that says, you know what, I'm just talking about it. They're advertising on the phone, so you do it and it's frightening, but also just where in the climate that we're in now, a lot of folks would have not known who Sandra Bland was. You would have not known who Toomer Rice was, or we wouldn't know any of that if it wasn't for people who advocated for Toomer. And the one thing about, although yes, it's, we're in a season of misinformation, where folks are just usually actually the first article that we call headline. When you see the first, the title of article, clickbait. Here we go, clickbait. Clickbait, and it's just like that's this article. Oh wow, this is police brutality is not happening. This article, that is not. In reality, it's like no, we need to, what we're seeing in front of us, as traumatic as it is, especially now in Palestine, we're seeing a lot of in front of us. And what we need to process also, what if this was a man? What if he didn't have access to this information? What if what if for this, or if I didn't do this? This would have been, we would have never ever said, never would have heard we would have never heard 24 hours story. And unfortunately, like I said before, there are a lot of misinformation can definitely look at the comments. I would say both of the comments. Oftentimes, the text is kind of feel away, and unfortunately, it's not that to do. And I'm not want to shed light to those who are black, those who may not want to be in the same, as those that have it. And so we are kind of like on a seesaw. One thing I do want to say is that important to well, people is that you have what just happened today in the house passing for protection. And for some folks, it's a great idea. What I always hope students policies either are aimed to benefit people, protect people, to target people, need to have money for everything. And what I mean by that is that, yes, we have all this information and all this stuff happening out there. Some people have sensing words and voices. There's one thing that many don't understand is that how this simple act can be such a precedent for censorship. It's such a precedent for limitations that you have. It's such a precedent from the answer public bank or merchant Google, which leads to just I think that domino effect of restriction. And that's the one thing that a lot of folks are not understand is how these situations can lead to election public. I mean, that's in that era where things are one thing you said, you can't. And so this bill is not only just the election but this is a first step in regulating our rights, our civil rights in this country. And so that's something that what are we seeing outside of that situation? I appreciate all of your excellent responses to this question. I don't think we touched on the potential to call others who may not think like us in the conversation through the use of social media. If anybody remembers January 6th, 2021. So, I remember I was in South Carolina, when I was a senior in college. I was on winter break. We were about to go back to school, and then the insurrection happened. And I was watching it on CNN upstairs in my family's home, and I think I switched over to Fox, and same thing. I couldn't believe it. One of my friends called me from school, and we talked about it for a little while, and I said, you know what, I have to do something about this. I have to use whatever platform I have to speak out against the ridiculousness that I was seeing on television. And there is social media is great because you have so many connections that you may not have phone numbers for, but you have these thin threads of connection through social media. You may follow this person may follow you. This person may see your story, and you can slide up and be in them, direct message them. I posted a story, and I think if I get back to using my social media platform for political action, I'd use the same template. I think I posted something to the extent of where are my specific group of people who need to talk. And in that situation, it was, I'm a Christian black man myself, and knowing that evangelical white people may identify with the right and some of the values that were expressed during the insurrection. I said, where are my good Christian white folks? Let's talk. We need to talk. And I called these people into a conversation, and I'm friends with so many of these people, especially at the Citadel and military college in South Carolina. One of the Citadel was a school that helped the Confederacy fight against the union. The cadets fought against the union way back in the day. And so just going to that school, having so many connections like that, I wanted to call them into a conversation. Um, there were even there were a few federal cadets that were caught in the insurrection in Washington, D.C. They had traveled up to Washington, D.C. from Charleston or wherever they were saying they decided to participate in the insurrection. So that just shows the extent of the importance of this conversation that I wanted to have. And it's so amazing because I studied abroad either the year or the semester before the insurrection, and one of my Greek friends, so I studied abroad in Athens, Greece. One of my Greek roommates, Mario, he responded to my, um, he responded to some of my political action stories on social media, and we had a conversation. That's why social media is important, because we can do stuff like that. And it's imperative that we keep social media, because these people not restricted and not like a domino effect, but you're talking about social media.
Thank you all so much for your responses. I'm hearing a lot of things, and we're kind of touching on the next two questions I have. But I'll start with this one, because Carleton just spoke something particular, which was constructive discourse, or constructive dialogue. I think Dr. Lewis is writing an article on preserving democracy in our society, and something that is mentioned that is a threat to democracy is polarization. And implementing it in terms of the information and the access we have to other people and different senses and ideas. But when there's polarization in the parties and different stakeholders and, somewhere in the mix of the community and people get lost, right? How can social workers, and as a profession, how do you envision us sort of driving constructive public discourse, and how can you feel if you're trying to be able to do so?
Thank you for this question. I think that when we see this kind of polarization, because we get into media silos, among other things, right? We just see our algorithms that is there, along the fact that we're attracted to people that are like-minded, right? So it's really easy for us to get into these silos. And the real path forward is to have challenging conversations, to have those really hard conversations with people who you may fundamentally disagree with. Because it's really easy when you're not talking to each other to dehumanize each other and just not seeing you as a person, but as someone who represents an idea of interest, right? And maybe through that conversation, you realize how many commonalities you actually have and how much common ground you share. And so, as social workers, we are uniquely positioned to do that. We specialize in challenging conversations. And so, I think that our work is going to be bringing people to task and creating spaces where we can have these conversations with each other. Now, I'm from the South, I'm from Georgia, and it's very conservative down there. And I myself am not, I wouldn't necessarily identify myself as a conservative, but there's a lot of common ground that I share with the people I grew up with. And there's so much that we actually agree on. But it's the approach that we differ about, right? It's not that we disagree about the idea, we just disagree about what's moved forward. And compromise doesn't happen in silos, it doesn't happen in separation. So we have to talk to each other. And that's kind of the crux of it, right? Like we have to talk to each other and we have to start creating those spaces for us to do that again. And social media is absolutely a tool. I love the idea that there are people who are high school with who fundamentally disagree with now a lot of things, so they still see content. And they still can be, given these new ideas to know what we're going to consider. And so, my alternative here is it's about communication. It's about getting back to human nature of what democracy is, which is finding compromises and choosing to disagree and to do so in a civil and respectful way.
I'd say a lot of it is especially in situations and then ways on my mind is like innovation is always the topic from the appropriate processes challenge as it is for a lot of folks to afford certain time status that is so compare what you're seeing in this conversation going up there, where seeing this piece collecting a lot of folks from went back something and oftentimes it's just this wow, there is a power in faith. I would say for me is growing up in a community that one is highly conservative. That's from walking on the street, that's learning to be happy. And it's like we're in an era that's broken training. Oftentimes that is happening in communities where folks are going through work. It feels that in a sense, there's just so much happening around it. In reality, that's not the truth. We have so much potential to that not only grow ourselves and unlearn a lot of it, unlearn a lot of problems that we and also being able to set those things the potential. One thing is that I can't help it. And the reality is like, well, what is one thing that you feel like you want? What is one thing that is better than you have access to? And as a social worker, I continue to have conversations with email or asking about. I want to just know what is that I feel like so much that I'm not finding myself like child I'm of democracy to be able to say that I've done something as simple as a client of mine giving a copy of a voting application because that is informing about voting, it's informing about civil rights and situations that justice system is understanding women know that justice in certain states that are allows you to vote or and so for I would say it's making my we're not tied down to a lot of the and that's really going to go as simple as resharing or passing or if you want to get down dinner and you got to check someone at the table, yeah, that right there, if you don't even know about the reality, that right there is a form of peace. You think you are the president of people, then they can be practiced. Thank you. I think that we can super power it's totally different. I feel one of the biggest and I feel like that's right there. you sort of there's amazing community awareness that you're using for it, asking all the people that hearing for the space and engaging conversations with others. And that's awesome. You feel like you need that foster more productive.
I also think that part of what social workers can do is create the space to have these conversations. Safe space, green space, whatever way you want to classify them. Creating a space to call people in to have these conversations, because as has been said, there are so many, like, the goals are so compatible, it's the path to get to the goals that's really interesting. But if we are, okay, so if the community wants to do this, let's talk about how we get there. And in talking or in creating these spaces to have these conversations, it's also mediating the next conversation. After we've tried something, after we've tried to implement an intervention and it doesn't work, it's like, okay, we've tried this. We still want this end goal. What if we tried this one this time? And continuing to come back to it, especially on these issues that are so prevalent in many communities, if it's something that folks can agree on, we want to see better bus routes, like more people buses or whatever. But that's something that everyone can agree on. That's great. That's what if we can start there, everyone can be on the same starting block, which is meeting folks where they are, because there could be people who are like, well, I drive everywhere, I don't care what schedule the bus is on. And so then having that conversation of getting people on this same starting block, so when we start to build solutions, it's like, oh, from your perspective, I can see why we need to have more different buses or whatever. And so you're like the role of social workers is not just meeting people where they are, but then you're bringing them up so everyone can get this conversation. And then taking a step to problem solve. And then folks come into the room with their solution to the problem, or even before that, their definition of the problem. And the group is like, I don't know, I see it. You know? Or it's like, after the meeting, it's like, yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying. The other half is just like, what are you talking about? Like, you can have different roads or whatever. So, yeah, definitely get on the same page and also facilitate those conversations and make them so there is, part of creating those spaces is confronting their own bias and trying to, I'm not saying you have to take yourself out of the space, just be aware of it, be aware that like whatever your approach to the solution is, you could align yourself. You could on the opposite side of someone else in this room. And that's fine. That's we're humans. We're not robots. You can't just kill them. But I think if you are taking a step back every time you tell me, I know how I feel. I know I agree with Sam, who has this great time. But I need to make sure that Jeff over here is also and that his position, even though it is not aligned with how I see this problem, they're taking the same space to talk about that solution and kind of walk around it.
Thank you all for your attention. I think education is key when it comes to counter polarization. You said over-generalization is one very important where between sectors, each other, and we can really find ourselves in this. We can find ourselves operating on the political spectrum and really well. And so, once we don't feel ourselves, I think that would be you're right, on the polarization on the political spectrum.
Thank you all so much. sometimes you have to change it, and it's not really clear. So I'm going to skip more specific question I have. I'm just going to end on this in case there's any of the audience who wants to say anything. So thank you all for being here today. And I think the space showed sort of the power of you socially, the power of the social perspective on these issues. And I know recently there's been critiques, and there's a New York Times article about sort of the decriminalization of social work, and that, you know, schools of social work, schools of social work were, you know, allegedly being too political or focusing too much on social justice. As we end here today, I just, you know, a short and positive, want you all to, you know, tell me why you believe it can be that you keep social justice and political engagement at the center of social justice.
I don't think there's any, I think that everything is political, and I think everybody is a vote for I feel like it's important for us to be influence and how we're engaging in politics. Anything of representative practice. And I disagree with
I think that, you know, social justice is the keystone of democracy, right? Like that was why the settlers came here, and arguably we made a lot of mistakes along the way, but the cornerstone of democracy is social justice and our ability to advocate for that and to create a more a society that is fair and just for every single person, everybody. And so to take social justice out of social work, it keeps the whole purpose of the work that we do, and also puts our democracy at risk, even more so than that.
social work is difficult. You can't, there is no argument that you could put on the table otherwise. And from there, it's understanding that we are the start of human equity, equality, justice, support, and definitely just the understanding that just because we have elements that we so what it's in our title, social work. You can't be social and not, you can't do social work, do social work and not want to be part of it. Whether it's happening at a federal, state, or even local level. From the people that sit in the courtroom that are elected judges to president, every area that you see them involved, politics, we are not really thankful that we do politics. And so, can't do politics, you can't do social work and not do politics. I think that social work, social justice is a cornerstone of social work. But this is a pro and con of legislative work. It lasts so long that it takes so long to support and meet and get everything. Too slow. But if you think about when you have legislation, it doesn't come happen. The last framework legislation that I could think of, I don't think somebody ever screened, but I'm sure I missed something. He was supposed to clear up. In Obama's presidency. Then if you want to think back to anything that a lay person would know, I don't know. That was, I can't even remember when that was enacted, but it was way before Obama. And then you have the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. dozen copies of them that people are going to think that if they remember anything from their history class. So it takes such a long time, but it can happen. We don't talk about it a whole lot because it's in our everyday life. This is, we don't have to think about things like that because those pieces of legislation are on. We need to continue to do that. And hopefully, before the next 30-year anniversary, you know, our family comes around for our sense of learning all the legislation. So that's why social work, social justice is important. We should continue to push forward in social work.
I think that I'll just add that not really the person who's like bashing the code of ethics over everyone's eyes, but it's in the code of ethics. But it's in the code of ethics also that social work is a client-centered practice, and our clients are whole people. They are not just the problem that they come with us to solve. They are involved in multiple different systems, and you know, these systems are like it's not going well right now. So for us to make those changes, that is social justice work that we are doing as social work. That's the political work. So, you know, I get like the decriminalization of social work. Yeah, but like for us to be good, for us to be good citizens, we have to know what our clients are up against.
The way you can leave
And
now.
for us
That's
to know,
not
we
good.
have to know.
I know you would have to turn off the side. No, you have to turn off.
I have to be strange.
Okay.
Well, thank you all so much. Being here today, your thoughtful responses, for showing up and showing the power of social virtue. And I'm unsure, I'm trying to keep up with you. I'm unsure if we're able to take questions from the audience or not. No? Okay. But we are within our limits of our recommended. So, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. And yeah. Thank you so much. And John, please let us know how the rest of the day. Sorry.